Okay, everyone, we're going to kick off with a little bit about what we are doing here at DocuSign, the Agreement Cloud for Salesforce, and then we will get straight into the presentation. So here we go.
If you're a Salesforce user and your work requires quotes, contracts, or other agreements, Salesforce just got even more powerful with DocuSign Agreement Cloud for Salesforce, a suite of applications and integrations that automate how agreements are prepared, signed, acted on, and managed, all within Salesforce. By automating your agreement processes, orders in Sales Cloud, quotes in CPQ, and change requests in Service Cloud are all accelerated, and that accelerates your business. Prepare an agreement in just minutes. From an opportunity in Salesforce, pick a template, click a button, and an agreement instantly generates. It automatically includes the right data from Salesforce, from the customer's name and address to the products being bought and pricing. Get your agreement signed now. Click a button and send the agreement for signature. Then track its status, all from Salesforce. And your customer can sign anytime on a wide variety of devices from nearly anywhere. It's really that easy. Turn agreements into action. When an agreement is completed, actions can be triggered automatically. The opportunity can be marked Closed Won, and the agreement can be written back to the Salesforce record. And you can take additional actions using a point-and-click workflow builder. Manage agreements easily. Agreements are all in one place for full text searching and workflows, such as renewal reminders, all managed according to your needs. The DocuSign Agreement Cloud for Salesforce includes Gen, our essential app for generating agreements from Salesforce data. Or you can choose Negotiate. This app includes Gen's capabilities, plus support for approvals, red lines, and version control. Even more capable is Contract Lifecycle Management, or CLM. It includes Negotiate's capabilities, plus a clause library, workflow builder, and agreement repository. And they all work with the most downloaded electronic signature app on AppExchange, DocuSign eSignature. With DocuSign Agreement Cloud for Salesforce, the business of agreeing just got better. So you get to Closed Won faster.
All right. I don't know about you guys, but I'm pumped. So hello, everyone. Welcome to the new release features of eSignature for Salesforce. I am Lauren Dunne, Senior Salesforce Developer Advocate here at our DocuSign Developer Programs team. I am here today with Marshall Nam, who is the Product Management Director for everything that's Salesforce. Marshall has seen me and coming towards them, asking lots of questions about all the amazing stuff that we're doing. And one thing I'm super excited for you guys to see today is, well, I'm not going to spoil it, but I'm going to tell you that when I saw this last year, my history is I'm a Salesforce admin. And when I saw this last year, when it was demoed to me, I actually squealed. So I'm super excited for everyone to see what we have in store for you today. With that, I am going to hand over to Melissa. Melissa is the magician behind the scenes who is making sure everyone is able to see the screen and attend. So Melissa, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you, Lauren. Okay, housekeeping. As mentioned in chat, you are placed in listen-only mode. If you have questions, please use the Q&A button to ask any questions at any time. Feel free to ask them as they occur and we'll answer them live. Or we'll let you know in the Q&A box that we'll hold the question until we're finished with the presentation to answer them. To copy and save your questions and answers, simply right-click on them and copy and save to your desktop. So right-click is your friend. Lastly, you should see a quick poll on your screen in just a moment. If you can take a minute and answer those questions, that will help us understand where you are in your development journey and enable us to customize content for this and future webinars. And here comes the poll. And with that, I will hand it back to you, Marshall.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Lauren. Very excited to be here with everybody. These are my favorite sessions where I get to talk directly to you, our Salesforce customers, admins, developers, everybody that we spend all of our time building these products for. So interested in the conversation, would love your feedback. Can't wait to read and answer all your questions. Before we start, everybody's used to this. I may talk about things that we may be doing in the future. Please do not take this as purchase guidance and advice. Make your purchase decisions only based on what is available today and not on anything that I say may be available in the future as a part of this presentation. Today, we'll talk a little bit about the DocuSign Salesforce Partnership. I'll dig a little bit more into the Agreement Cloud for Salesforce for those of you who aren't as familiar with it as some might be. I am here to talk about eSignature for Salesforce, but it's useful to talk about what we're doing as a company overall, and it helps you understand where we're taking all of our products. And getting to the part that I believe Lauren said made her squeal, we're going to do a live demo of the product, highlighting some great new features that we've been cooking up in the DocuSign kitchen, and would love to take all of your questions at the end and answer them to the best of our abilities. So starting off, let's talk about this partnership. I have to pinch myself at this point. This is at this point a decade-long partnership. DocuSign eSignature for Salesforce and the other applications that we have are amongst the most popular on the AppExchange. This is the #1 eSignature solution on the AppExchange. We're actually an AppExchange launch partner. Way back when the AppExchange started, we were there right at the beginning with eSignature for Salesforce. We're also very proud to be a 1% pledge partner. We spend a lot of time giving back to the community, and we take very seriously that effort together with Mark Benioff and the Salesforce team. As a customer, Salesforce has over 12,000 Salesforce reps using different DocuSign products in more than 90 different use cases. Of the deals that they process using DocuSign for Salesforce, 90% of deals close in less than a day, and almost 3/4 of those in less than an hour. So this rapid acceleration that we were talking about in that video, Salesforce experiences that firsthand, and they see that every single day. And there are other departments inside of Salesforce, whether it's procurement, HR, legal, all using DocuSign technologies to really accelerate the value of Salesforce, the way that they're using it. And as an investor, Salesforce was historically one of DocuSign's largest investors. As part of our 2018 IPO, I remember it fondly. Seems like it was just yesterday. I think it was Forbes magazine that actually highlighted DocuSign as one of the best investments as an investor that Salesforce made. So we're continuing that relationship as a public company and really focusing a lot, investing even more from an R&D perspective to make this partnership grow. Stepping back for a second, we talk about our new philosophy on life. We were very much an e-signature company for a very long time, and I'm here to talk about e-signature today. But today we talk a lot about agreements. We talk about everything involved in agreement because we believe that businesses run on agreements and that these agreements are everywhere in your business. And in a system of agreement, there are these 4 stages that you heard us talking about. There's prepare, there's sign, act, and manage, all these steps in an agreement. And every customer already has one of these systems. They're largely manual. Things you're generating, creating these agreements manually, maybe even printing them, sending and signing them if you're not using eSignature, DocuSign eSignature or DocuSign eSignature for Salesforce. And all the actions that come out of an agreement, a lot of those are still done manually, and management of those. Maybe you're not using filing cabinets, but I think there's still a lot of shared drives, whether it's Google Drive, cloud storage, or stored on people's individuals' machines in the worst case scenario. And in DocuSign, we look at this overall as the problem we're trying to solve, because this legacy system of agreements, it's a poor experience for your customers and for your employees. And when we think about it in the Salesforce view, it really inhibits a complete customer view. When we think about sales, we actually get a red line contract back from the customer. Can we service that? Can we actually get it signed and agreed upon? In terms of service, was the original contract covered in the SLA for a particular change order? Do we have an agreement around that? Engaging with customers, do we have an NDA in place when we share a roadmap or have other interactions? And analyzing and looking at data inside of say a product like CLM that we have, we can understand more about why the contracting process is taking so long and figuring out how to make it more efficient. And we have a suite of products that we use to address all of these different needs for you, our customers, starting with eSignature for Salesforce, as well as extensions for eSignature in Salesforce CPQ, and our most complete solution, DocuSign CLM for Salesforce, where we take our CLM solution and we natively integrate it into Salesforce and integrate it with your Salesforce data, as well as capture all the agreements coming out of Salesforce. And one place that we've done quite a bit of investment, not only in eSignature, but also DocuSign Gen for Salesforce, where as a point solution, you can generate documents. And very recently, we entered a reseller agreement with Salesforce, where Gen is actually offered as the quote generation solution for Salesforce CPQ Plus customers. So if there are any Salesforce CPQ Plus customers on the line, then talk to your account manager. You now have the rights to use Gen for Salesforce as your quote generation engine. Thinking through all the use cases that we're addressing, sales, service, HR, this is just a sampling of what we've seen from our customers as the most common ways that people are using different DocuSign technologies in Salesforce. And you can see it not only spans different departments, but also multiple industries as well, whether it's public sector, healthcare, financial services, or insurance. And when you put this all together, you get real significant business results. 82% of agreements are completed in a day. We talked about how that's even higher for a company like Salesforce that has really figured out the execution and how to optimize the different things that they do with DocuSign technologies. You reduce errors, up to 18% reduction in not in good order. This is a term used in the insurance industry of forms that are just improperly filled out or not ready to actually process and act upon. Productivity increases up to 80% using these different technologies. There is a company that we've worked with where they found that actual usage of Salesforce almost doubled when they added eSignature for sales, just eSignature for Salesforce, because salespeople saw CRM turn into not only a system of record of what they could do, but actually a tool to accelerate the sales cycle for them, even as an individual salesperson. So you can see a lot of that dramatic productivity increase. In terms of delighting customers, we're very proud of the more than 3,000 five-star reviews we have on the App Exchange for eSignature for Salesforce, and the growing set of reviews and ratings that we have for our other solutions as well. But I think why everybody is here today is to talk about eSignature for Salesforce. This is the first and most popular application that we have on the App Exchange today. It enables you to send and sign directly from Salesforce using a Salesforce native user experience. It helps you accelerate the turnaround minutes by automating the agreement process. And by automating, we'll talk about that in a bit, but basically taking all of your Salesforce data that's relevant to an agreement and bringing it directly into the agreement automatically, automating all that process of not only bringing the data in, bringing it into the document, sending it out, bringing that data back into Salesforce where it's done. And again, all within the Salesforce environment. And I've told you a lot about how well things are going and how much our customers love using the product. So you might ask, why do we need a new eSignature for Salesforce? And that's what we're here to talk about today. Well, we talked about a decade-long partnership. This is a decade-old application at this point. So we were looking at this and we've gotten lots of feedback from you, our customers, about how we can approach the user experience of what we do inside of eSignature for Salesforce and make it easier to set up, easier to maintain for you. In terms of scalability and looking at this next generation of integrations that we want to do with our new Agreement Cloud technologies, we need to do a lot of work under the hood to make sure that we can support those moving forward. We also have, at this point, multiple eSignature solutions on the App Exchange. We have eSignature for Salesforce Essentials, as well as eSignature for Salesforce. We are looking at consolidating that as well. And we're also looking not only at what's in the Agreement Cloud, but a lot of eSignature features that customers have been requesting that are available in large parts of our platform, but some of the smaller features, some of the important enterprise features are as of yet not available in Salesforce. So I can talk through what some of those are, but we see this new eSignature Salesforce application as a way to not only make a better experience, but also create this platform for the future. So when I talked about the UX overhaul, those of you who have used eSignature for Salesforce before understand the power of what it could do for you, but also have probably spent quite a bit of time setting it up and configuring it. So when you're creating an envelope template inside of eSignature for Salesforce, these are your two options today. On the left, you can see something very powerful here where we are integrating all your Salesforce data into a DocuSign envelope. But the first step is you having to sit down and write a custom button script and learn the different parameters and different syntax that we have to control this. So things like contact related list, contact type map, customer contact type, type mapping, recipient mapping, bringing in all this data. You have to learn the script, you have to test it, you have to use it. This is the first step in creating a template today. And this is our first take at it. It's still available in the application. As option 2, we actually put a user interface in front of this. And I'll call this V1 of what we were trying to do to make this simpler. And I think a definite improvement over what you saw in option 1, but still having to understand a lot around some of the different parameters and types. And we got feedback that this was better, but still a little bit more difficult to use. And then on the flip side, acting on an agreement. So after an agreement's been completed, customers very much like you want to write data back and keep the single source of truth in Salesforce. So not only writing back custom data to Salesforce, but writing back documents, completed signed documents to Salesforce. And in order to do that, we actually required that admins go into a different part of DocuSign and configure what we call Connect for Salesforce. And if you've done that before, this is very familiar to you. And this user interface, completely separate from Salesforce, we also got feedback that we could make this a little bit easier for our customers. So all of this put together, these were the reasons around the user experience that we thought we can do this significantly better. And let me show you directly how we've done that today.
I am actually squealing right now. I'm so excited for everyone to see this.
We're at the squeal step. So this is the new DocuSign eSignature for Salesforce. In here, you can see a couple things. I talked about how we've extended this to the DocuSign Agreement Cloud, and you can see some of these other applications that you saw before, DocuSign Gen, DocuSign Negotiate. These are all available in the same managed package. So you have them available in a single user interface, and we have centralized user administration. But going specifically into eSignature, we no longer ask you to go and create a custom button script or dive into a confusing envelope configuration template. But we actually have this new concept of an envelope template. And in here, I can edit this existing envelope template. And you'll see what you'd expect from a modern eSignature application from DocuSign. The first step is, what documents do you need? And you can see one has been pre-configured here. So you can not only upload directly from your desktop, but you can also go and, very popular, pull in some of these native things from Salesforce. So from DocuSign files on the parent record here, I can pull the latest document. I think this is usually one of the most popular options, but also you can do wildcard matching or pull every single document in. So you start giving it a lot of power around what documents to bring in, how they will be treated. And once you're done with that, you can move on to the next step. Adding recipients. And this is where things can get very complex and where a lot of the custom button script parameters can get a little bit confusing. Here we've tried to simplify it significantly. So here on an opportunity is our parent object. I can go in and actually pull directly from related lists on that. So I can look for opportunity contact roles, which was here before, pull from any of those related lists attached to the application. I can make it a role on the template itself. I can also do lookup fields here if I'd rather do a lookup on the parent record instead of a related list. And you can pull directly from your Salesforce contacts as well if you want to hard code something in. And of course, we offer you the standard DocuSign options as well of just bringing in a role that and defining a role on the template that the sender later on down the road, the salesperson, can define at the time of sending. Or we can use DocuSign signing groups as well. So you can see the great mix of both Salesforce technologies and DocuSign technologies all brought into a single place, all with an entirely point-and-click interface. So cancel, so that doesn't take effect. And here you can customize your email messages as they get sent out to you. All of this within the Salesforce UI. And if you ever lose your spot when you're going in or you get confused along the way, we also put in links to instructional videos. So you can go and, if you lose your place or you haven't watched this particular webinar, you can go in and watch on your own and learn on your own time. The next up, we actually look at the document itself. Whatever document was uploaded earlier now comes in and loads up inside of the DocuSign user interface. And at this point, you can take all of your eSignature fields as well as text fields, and you can bring merge fields, you can bring them directly onto the document itself. So here you can see this has been pre-configured. I can add more, I can add a second contact. I think this looks good, so I'm going to save and close this. And what we've just gone through was everything that you saw in that custom button script. I did that all completely point and click, all within a graphical user interface, all integrated with my Salesforce data. And now we're at that last part where normally we asked previously admins to go in and start configuring things and connect for Salesforce, an entirely separate application in DocuSign. But here we brought it again back into the Salesforce experience. So not only can you set reminders and expiration notices, but some of these common things that we know you, our customers, do for an opportunity once a DocuSign envelope is completed, you can set exactly what that opportunity stage will update to. Here we'll say we'll update it to closed 1 when that completes. And I can also configure the completed document coming back to Salesforce files on the parent record here. I can have access to all the different options and pretty complex naming options for what you want to do for that as well. And that is it. I've just clicked through everything that you saw in terms of scripting and going to multiple applications that we used to make you do in the existing eSignature for Salesforce, but we've streamlined it entirely. And we've even automated to the point so that for everything you set up inside this envelope template, you can create a specific custom button for it. You can define which layouts based on the parent object you want to apply it to. And at that point, you've configured everything. You configured everything start to finish, and you're ready to go. And we can flip over to the sales version of this. So a salesperson is now looking in an opportunity that they've been working on. And the custom button that we created before, sales contract demo, is right here. And that is that template that we were walking through. And clicking on this, 2 things I'll call out. One, you'll see something very similar to the template experience that we saw before, but you see it's locked down at this point, trying to prevent all the template options removed and starting to restrict some of the permissions that a salesperson would have versus an admin would have. And coming soon, we're also going to add back the ability in the existing eSignature for Salesforce to automate this completely. So you wouldn't see any of these steps. And just with a single click, you would click and you would go to complete. But just to show you everything that's going on, let's walk through it manually. So here you can see, different from the template, we actually brought in all the information that we set up in the template. The template, we said we wanted the primary contact from opportunity contact roles. That was automatically brought in off of the parent record. Everything that you expected to be configured based on the message, along with reminders and expiration, set up for you as well. And then we show you the document one more time. And if everything looks good, it is ready to be sent. Here we go. Our good friend Andy is ready to receive this document. Everything looks good, ready for Andy to sign. And at this point, we can send it. And after sending, we take you directly, immediately back to the parent object that you started from. And you'll see this as well. This is new. Before we had a related list for our DocuSign envelope for DocuSign status. Here we actually have a native Lightning component now. This is a little bit easier to work with, a little more visual. You can open up and see exactly what the last item that happened for your envelope. Here you can see that we just sent this a few seconds ago, and it is sent, but still waiting signature. And right here, I get access to some of these rich DocuSign features like sending reminders. Some people, this is, I think, Lauren's favorite feature, where she can just, with a click of a button, nag someone and tell them, please sign my envelope, or you can actually cancel this transaction all directly without leaving DocuSign.
I
And once
have
that,
lobbied to change that button to nag. Unfortunately, no one listens. And it's just a reminder.
it's probably an ugly Americanism of, I'm going to keep calling it a reminder. But nag, I think, is the colloquial term for it. And once this is signed, this will automatically come back to notes and attachments as well. So we round trip everything, and everything will move directly to closed one. So that was everything that you saw before, that custom button script or the DocuSign envelope configurations that we had before, configuration in Connect. And for those of you that have been through it, you've probably worked with our adoption consulting team. It's taken you a couple of days to get it up and running. It's something that you may be a little bit hesitant to modify or reconfigure if things change in your business. Here we've made it immediately accessible, easy, native in Salesforce, the way we think that a modern eSignature application in Salesforce should be built.
So Marshall, we have a couple of questions here. One actually really great one from Brad. Will existing templates and custom buttons still work?
That is an excellent question. So we made sure to be very careful about this exact situation. So this is a new managed package that has eSignature for Salesforce, as well as Gen and Negotiate for Salesforce in it as well. And it will run side by side in an org perfectly fine with the existing eSignature for Salesforce solution that you're using today. So that's my way of saying you'll be able to use both side by side, and both of them will work together. So if you have existing custom buttons, configurations in eSignature Salesforce, you can continue using those until you replace those configurations with new ones inside of the new eSignature for Salesforce.
Awesome. And then we have another one here. When I use a template, can I have the option to remove the option of expiration?
Expiration. Yes, I believe that is an existing setting. I can actually look real time. Since we have everything in one place and we have it nice and easy to configure, we can just check it directly in template. And expiration, I believe I can double check on this. I think the option is if you set this to -1 or -1, then it never expires, but I can get back to you on a specific answer for that.
Awesome. I will give Anna my email address to follow up and double check that for her.
Awesome. I'd like to thank everyone that is here today, all of our customers. This is why we do this. This is why we get up in the morning and work day and night to bring you the best solutions that we can think of. And not only you here today, but all of our customers, just a sampling of which we can see on this slide. So happy to take additional questions. I'll go back to Safe Harbor when we talk about things that we may do in the future. But very excited to show this to everybody. We've been working on this for quite some time, and we're very proud of it.
Okay, who has bingo? Because I was talking on mute. So we do have a question from Brad again. Is this package available now? Because he is literally deploying a custom button on Monday.
Wow, I'm glad you asked, Brad. It is available on the App Exchange today. So this is actually what I demoed for you. We have been building this as part of our eSignature for Salesforce Essentials solution. So if you go to the App Exchange and download eSignature for Salesforce Essentials, that will install a managed package called the DocuSign Apps Launcher managed package that contains eSignature for Salesforce Essentials, Gen, and Negotiate. If you have that eSignature license, it'll automatically light up the eSignature functionality. And today, you'll be able to do everything that we walked through today.
Another question came in. Does this work on Classic as well as Lightning?
Yes, this does work on Classic as well as Lightning. I don't think it's quite as good of an experience on Classic, but I encourage you to try this out in the sandbox and make sure that the user experience in Classic meets your needs. It is something that we did optimize for Lightning, but we did make allowances for it to make sure it was at least compatible with Classic.
Awesome. We have another one coming in. Does this work with the DocuSign Part 11 compliance module?
Yes, but I'll caveat that. This will work with the 21 CFR Part 11 e-signature accounts. This is something that towards the end of this year, we're going to do a little bit more rigorous testing around. So there may be some edge cases that may not work properly there at this point.
Okay. Another question has come in. Oh, I'm loving that we have so many questions. Keep them coming, guys. Can we configure different templates based on some countries? Currently, they're using Apex code to achieve this.
So I think the question, and correct me if I'm wrong, is can they put multiple envelope configurations behind a single button so they can manage, essentially the same template, but for different regions?
Yep, that would be my assumption as well, and different languages as well.
Yes. If that is the case, right now, the email settings and localization is a feature that's still on our roadmap. It's something that we want to get to early next year. Back to Safe Harbor, this is something that we have, and there are a number of features that I think that are in the existing eSignature for Salesforce that we need to catch up on at this point. But with this new modern platform, we're going to be able to add them on much more quickly than we could with the old platform.
Awesome. Diane has asked, how does licensing work for this? Do you need a license for each sender or just the admin set up templates?
Excellent question. Let's talk. One thing I'll start with is that eSignature for Salesforce licensing for DocuSign is eSignature for Salesforce licensing. And what I mean by that is if you have an eSignature for Salesforce subscription, you can use it with our existing eSignature for Salesforce flagship solution. You can also use that exact same account with the new eSignature for Salesforce. So no difference between the existing or the new solution. Now within those two solutions, you will need user licenses for not only admin, but every single user that is going to be able to send envelopes from eSignature for Salesforce. But we do not charge, there is no license required for signers.
Awesome. Let me see, I don't think we have any more. Nope, no more questions. Final call for questions. Oh, here we go. One more. Is there a link to the documentation for this new package?
Yes, we can share that. I think we can share that out after the call, if that's okay, Lauren.
Yep.
If you want to look for it immediately, I think if you look for eSignature for Salesforce Essentials on our DocuSign support site, you should find an admin guide in there that will walk through a lot of this. There's also a DocuSign Apps Launcher admin guide that gives you a little bit more information about administration for all the different solutions inside of the DocuSign Apps Launcher package.
And I will include that. That link is available as well to the. I will have that link included in the email follow-up email to everyone, just so they have access to it. Okay.
Yeah. Very excited to share this new eSignature solution with everybody. This is something that we're continuing to develop. So at this point, it may not have every feature that you're looking for, but it is something that we plan to invest in very heavily over the next couple of years and make our flagship eSignature solution for the future. So very excited to share it with you today.
So thank you, Brad. Brad has said it's a great improvement, and thank you. So
great to hear
awesome.
that. I will pass that on to our design and engineering team that's been working very hard at this.
Most definitely. So that brings me on to, just so everyone knows, we do send a post-event or post-webinar survey. Please do fill it out with any questions, concerns, thoughts. We do review them, we do listen to them, and I was a Salesforce admin for 11 years. I always assumed my feedback to companies went to a black hole, and since I've come over to, I want to say, the dark side, it's not the dark side, I can actually see that, DocuSign takes your feedback and works on it, and hopefully will deliver what's needed or what is requested. Do feel free to provide that information. It doesn't go into a black hole. I can tell you that for certain. So yeah, with that, before we go, I'm going to go on to Marshall. If you could go to the next question or next slide for me, please. This is my slide. before we go, there are some resources, as you can see, that we have available to everyone. If you are a developer or even an admin that's a little bit more curious, there is the developers.docusign.com. If you have more technical questions, then something that goes to the normal customer success team, if you need some code help or anything like that, Stack Overflow is the place to go. And please do tag DocuSign API. I do go in there and review the questions every day. There's also Support Center, support@docusign.com. There's DocuSign University, where you have a whole lot of free courses available to everyone, completely free. You do not need a license. You can sign up with a Gmail account if you have one. So please do go in there and take a look and see the content we have available. There is a DocuSign developer blog that we tend to share more updates frequently. There is some updated webinars coming up. There is December 1st, 10 a.m. PT. There is also December 7th. These are API office hours. There's also the eSignature for Salesforce webinar series. So if you love my Irish accent and want to hear more from me, this is the place to go. There is eSignature for Salesforce webinars. I have one coming up. Actually, I have a meetup tomorrow, which is a very casual thing to do, but there's also December 2nd for new features of the Apex Toolkit. There's also another meetup on December 3rd, and if you are new on your journey and you need some help setting up your DocuSign and Salesforce, let me know, because I will be hosting a webinar on December 9th. All times are 10 a.m. PT, 1 p.m. ET, and 7 p.m. London time. We also have some YouTube videos. So this session was recorded, but we also have some past sessions there as well, as well as some helpful how-to guides, or how-to videos, should I say. And if you're a partner, here's some partner resources as well. As always, do reach out to us. We are not shy. We love to talk to people. We're on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and I've passed out my email address a couple of times. It's also on your email invite. With that, I did mention earlier that there is a post-event survey. If you could please fill that out for me. I love reading feedback. If you think I talk too much, you're not the first person to tell me that, so please do include that as well. I will not take offense. The email and recording will be available within the next week. And Melissa, is there anything else before I say a massive thank you to everyone?
No, I think you covered it all. Thank you so much to
Awesome.
Both you and Marshall and everyone.
Thank you so much, Marshall.
Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, everyone.